New video obtained exclusively by NBC News shows officers with Customs and Border Protection and the city of El Paso beginning to arrest migrants sleeping in the street outside of a Catholic church and a bus station. That happened in the week before the president's visit. Border agents can be seen patrolling the streets, flashing lights and rustling tents where people were sleeping. According to the person who took the video, up to 150 migrants were arrested in one night, and more were taken into custody later in the week. Joining us now, NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley. Julia, it's good to have you on. Got a lot to choose from here, whether it's the video that we're looking at and whether or not those laws were broken, and the demands by the Texas governor to the president.
That's right, Mika. I spoke with the man. It's a volunteer who shot this video and wanted to share it with the world. He said he was really struck by the fact that it wasn't CBP walking up, speaking to a few migrants, but really coming in the middle of the night to show that they had a presence. This is just in the days leading up to President Biden's visit to the border. I showed the same video to legal experts, to immigration advocates to see what they thought of it. And they were struck as well, especially because of the proximity to Sacred Heart Church. I just stood outside that church. It's a shelter about 2 weeks ago. It's where a lot of families, unfortunately, are sleeping on the street at night. But according to DHS's own guidelines, all houses of worship and courthouses are safe spaces for migrants. And Secretary Mayorkas went a step further this year, telling the men and women of DHS that even getting near a space like a church, like a courthouse, might also be a protected space. But he didn't define exactly where that barrier would be. But some of those advocates say this could be in violation. We also heard the fear of a lot of these migrants. There's one video where there is a pastor speaking in Spanish as he's trying to protect the migrants huddled behind him. Let's take a listen.
Respetamos las leyes, Señor, y ellas hacen su trabajo, Señor. Pero, Padre, tú tienes el poder para protegerlos, Señor. En el nombre de Jesús, Señor, te rogamos por ellos, Señor. En el nombre de Jesús. En el nombre de Jesús, Señor, nos cubre tu sangre preciosa, Señor. En el nombre de Jesús, Señor, clamamos a ti, Padre. Cúbrenos, Señor. Cúbrenos con tu manto precioso, Señor. En el nombre de Jesús, Padre. Llegamos a tu trono de gracia, Señor, clamando a ti, Señor. Ten misericordia de estos hombres, Señor.
Now, it is true. I spoke to a spokesperson for Customs and Border Protection who said that the majority of the migrants, or all of the migrants, rather, who were arrested there had evaded apprehension. They needed to be arrested and processed, and then it could be determined whether or not they get returned to Mexico or they're allowed to stay here and seek asylum.
Hey, Julia, it's Jonathan. Tell us a little bit more about what we know of the letter and the demands there from Texas Governor Greg Abbott. And we should also note that that stop at the border just one of two for President Biden on this trip. He's now in Mexico, about to start the Three Amigos summit, if you will, with the leaders of Canada and Mexico. But the migrant issue is going to dominate the proceedings there as well.
That's right. Well, we know in the letter it's coming from Governor Greg Abbott, who has really made attacking the president's immigration platform a cornerstone of his own platform. He says it was really too little too late for President Biden to come to the border. He's also been touting how his own Operation Lone Star, just using his own state resources, has stopped a lot of drugs, a lot of migrants coming into the country. But again, those are state resources. They aren't supposed to be used to be enforcing federal immigration law. So there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of actually ignoring of Abbott's demands by the White House because they think that he really crosses a line in terms of his own authority. As far as what's going on in Mexico, really couldn't be a more pivotal moment, especially between U.S. and Mexican leaders. As you know, just last week, there was an announcement from the White House that 30,000 migrants per month from the countries of Venezuela, Haiti, Cuba, and Nicaragua will be turned back into Mexico. That's a change because previously those nationalities could not be sent back into Mexico. So this is coming because of an agreement. Mexico agreed to take those people back. It's hard for them because oftentimes those nationalities can't be deported. Their countries won't take them. So Mexico has to be able to find the resources, the shelters to take those people in. So they, of course, though, did come to this agreement because the U.S. is offering quite a bit of money to Mexico. All of this just being announced as the president travels to Mexico City. We might be able to see what other agreements they come up with, especially as they have this looming deadline when those COVID-19 restrictions could eventually lift after the Supreme Court rules. And we know they will be hearing those arguments March 1st.